Let me paint a picture for you. You wake up one morning and everything feels off. The messages, the news, the traffic, every little thing starts pressing on your nerves. You tell yourself, it's just one of those days. But then, that one day turns into a week, a month, maybe even a year, and somewhere along the way, you forget what it feels like to wake up ready for life instead of worn down by it. Sound familiar? See, everyone talks about success, motivation, and mindset, but no one talks about the part in between. The part where life punches you in the gut, where your plans fall apart, where people disappoint you, and the world feels heavier than you thought you could carry. That's the space where your mental attitude is forged or broken. But here's the truth. Most people think positivity means pretending everything's fine, smiling when you're not okay, nodding when you're falling apart inside. That's not positivity, that's denial. Real positivity isn't fragile. It's not a quote on a wall or a hashtag online. Real positivity is unbreakable. It's the kind that stands up when everything else falls down. You've met those people before. The ones who walk through chaos like it's nothing. The ones who don't lose their cool when everyone else panics. The ones who seem calm, strong, and focused no matter what's happening. That's not luck, and it's not genetics. It's a skill they built piece by piece through pain, discipline, and choice. And you can build it too. Today, we're going to break down how to create an unbreakable positive mental attitude. Not the kind that cracks under pressure, but the kind that grows stronger because of it. I'm going to show you how to turn adversity into fuel, how to master your inner dialogue, and how to build a mindset so resilient that no one, not a person, not a setback, not a bad day, can take it from you. So before we dive in, I want you to ask yourself one question. When life hits you hard, and it will, do you crumble or do you recalibrate? Because the answer to that question determines everything that follows. Positivity has become one of the most overused and misunderstood words of our time. People throw it around like confetti. Stay positive. Think happy thoughts. Good vibes only. You've heard it all before. But let me tell you something. Life doesn't care about your good vibes. Life doesn't care how positive your Instagram captions are. When life hits you hard, those phrases won't save you. What will save you is understanding what real positivity means. Real positivity isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about standing in the middle of the storm, looking chaos dead in the eye, and saying, I can handle this. It's not the absence of struggle, it's the presence of strength. When everything around you is falling apart, when you're faced with uncertainty, loss, or failure, positivity isn't denial, it's strategy. It's your decision to see clearly, to act deliberately, and to hold your ground. People confuse positivity with naivety. They think a positive person ignores the negative, avoids confrontation, or suppresses hard emotions. But the truth is, real positivity doesn't avoid pain. It faces it. It acknowledges reality, then asks, what can I do about it? The most resilient people aren't blindly optimistic. They're strategic realists. They know the world isn't fair, but they also know they can adapt, overcome, and rise stronger. Think about those moments when something went terribly wrong in your life. Something that tested every ounce of patience and faith you had. Maybe it was a betrayal, a financial loss, a dream that slipped through your fingers. The people around you might have said, just stay positive. But deep down, you probably didn't need blind optimism. You needed focus. You needed direction. You needed to believe that even if this moment was painful, it wasn't permanent. That's real positivity. Let me share something important. Positivity doesn't mean you never feel negative emotions. You're human. You're supposed to feel anger, disappointment, frustration, even fear. Those emotions aren't your enemies. They're information. They tell you something needs your attention. But what separates an unbreakable mind from a fragile one is how you respond. A fragile mind gets stuck in the emotion. It replays it, feeds it, and lets it take control. A strong mind feels it, learns from it, and uses it to move forward. There's a mindset shift that happens when you truly reframe positivity. It's when you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That's the moment you take back power, because as long as you think life is happening to you, you'll always be reacting. But when you believe life is happening for you, you start creating. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start being the author of your story. In high-pressure situations, whether it's on the job, in relationships, or during personal crisis, people who remain positive aren't pretending. They're trained. They've conditioned themselves to respond with clarity instead of panic. They see challenges as puzzles, not punishments. Their first instinct isn't to complain, it's to calculate. And that comes from practice. You don't wake up one day suddenly unshakable. You become unshackable by training your mind to reframe the narrative every single day. Let's take an example. Two people lose their jobs on the same day. One spirals, angry, bitter, stuck in self-doubt. The other feels the same pain, the same uncertainty, but says, "All right, what's next? What can I build from this?" That second person didn't feel any less fear. They simply chose to respond instead of react. That's positivity. Not the smile, not the pretending, the decision. You see, you can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control the meaning you assign to it. And meaning is everything. The way you interpret an event determines how it affects you. If you see every setback as evidence that you're cursed, unlucky, or not enough, then you're training your brain to surrender. But if you see setbacks as tests, as moments designed to sharpen your character, then even your pain becomes productive. You turn obstacles into opportunities, and that's the foundation of an unbreakable attitude. Positivity, when understood correctly, is not soft, it's strength disguised as calm. It's the quiet confidence of someone who's been through enough storms to know the sun always returns. It's not smiling through the pain because you're ignoring it. It's smiling because you trust yourself to handle it. It's not blind faith, it's earned faith. Think about elite performers, soldiers, athletes, leaders. They're not positive because their lives are easy. They're positive because they've trained their minds to focus on solutions. When things go wrong, they don't waste energy on blame or fear. They ask, what's the mission? What's the next step? That's the kind of positivity that saves lives, builds empires, and changes people. So how do you start reframing positivity in your life? First, stop labeling experiences as good or bad. They're just data. Every event gives you information about who you are, what you value, and where you need to grow. Second, when something goes wrong, resist the urge to catastrophize. Instead, pause. Ask, what can I learn here? That single question can transform despair into direction. Third, stop waiting for perfect conditions to feel positive. If you wait for everything to go your way before you choose a good attitude, you'll spend your entire life waiting. Positivity isn't the reward, it's the requirement. It's what gets you through the mess to reach the outcome. You choose the attitude first, the results follow, and finally understand this: your mindset is a weapon. But like any weapon, it's only as powerful as the person who wields it. The more you train it, the more precise it becomes. So train your thoughts to look for possibility instead of limitation. Train your emotions to stay steady when things get hard. Train your focus to see opportunity where others see defeat. Because when you master that, when you learn to reframe positivity as strength, not softness, you stop being tossed around by life. You become anchored, grounded, and suddenly, no matter what happens, you can face it head on with calm eyes and a steady heart. That's what it means to have an unbreakable, positive mental attitude. It's not about living in denial of your struggles. It's about refusing to let those struggles define you. It's about taking the hit, catching your breath, and saying, this isn't the end of me. It's the making of me. And once you start living from that space, life doesn't get easier, you get stronger. Your mind is the most powerful weapon you own. But it's also the most dangerous one if you don't learn how to use it. Every single day, from the moment you wake up to the moment you close your eyes, you're in a constant conversation with yourself. And that conversation, those words, that tone, that inner dialogue, shapes everything about your life. It decides how you see the world, how you treat yourself, and how you respond when things get tough. Most people don't even realize how much they talk to themselves. That little voice in your head, it never shuts up. It comments, it judges, it questions, it doubts. It tells you stories, some true, some false. And if you're not careful, you start believing every word. You might not say it out loud, but that internal narrative becomes your reality. If your self-talk is negative, you'll live in a negative world. If your self-talk is strong, calm, and focused, then no matter what happens outside, you'll remain unshaken inside. The truth is, we all have two voices within us. One is the critic, the voice that tells you you're not good enough, not ready enough, not capable enough. It's loud, it's emotional, and it feeds off fear. Then there's the commander, the voice of reason, clarity, and confidence. It doesn't shout, it directs. The problem is, most people spend their lives listening to the critic and silencing the commander. They let fear dictate their story. They let doubt run the show. Your job, if you want to develop an unbreakable positive attitude, is to flip that dynamic. You have to teach the critic to sit down and the commander to stand up. That doesn't mean you'll never have negative thoughts again. It means you'll stop letting those thoughts make your decisions for you. Think about the last time you failed, or even just made a mistake. What did that inner voice say? Did it tell you, you're useless, you always screw things up? Or did it say, okay, that didn't work. What's the next move? That difference right there determines your entire trajectory. The first response builds shame, the second builds resilience. One closes doors, the other opens them. Your inner dialogue isn't random, it's trained. It comes from your upbringing, your experiences, and the way you've responded to challenges in the past. But here's the good news, it can be retrained. You can rewrite the script. You can reprogram your mind to speak to you like a leader, not a bully. It takes awareness, discipline, and repetition. Start by listening. Notice what you say to yourself during difficult moments. If someone else spoke to you the way you speak to yourself, would you tolerate it? Most people wouldn't. You'd never call your best friend an idiot for making a mistake, but you do it to yourself without hesitation. The way you speak to yourself in private becomes the way you show up in public. So if you want to project strength, confidence, and calm, it has to start with that inner conversation. There's a technique used by elite performers, soldiers, negotiators, athletes, to control their internal state during high-pressure moments. They practice what's called command language. It's short, sharp, and specific. They don't say, I hope I can do this. They say, I've trained for this. Focus. Execute. It's not emotional, it's intentional, because emotions can cloud judgment, but clear self-talk creates control. You can use this same principle in your everyday life. When you catch yourself spiraling, maybe overthinking, doubting, or worrying, pause and give yourself a command. Breathe. Focus. One step at a time. Simple, but powerful. These phrases interrupt chaos and bring you back to the present moment where you can actually make decisions. One of the biggest shifts you can make is moving from reactive thinking to proactive thinking. Most people let their inner voice narrate their life automatically. Something bad happens, and the voice says, here we go again. This always happens to me. That's a script. It's old and it's false. You need to interrupt that script and rewrite it. Instead of, this always happens to me, try, this is happening, and I can handle it. Instead of, I can't do this, try, I haven't done this yet. That one word, yet, turns limitation into potential. You have to treat your mind like a muscle. Every time you catch yourself slipping into negativity and choose a better response, you're doing a mental rep. Over time, those reps build strength. And just like in the gym, the more resistance you face, the stronger you get. The goal isn't to avoid negative thoughts. It's to dominate them with truth and clarity. Here's the reality: your brain listens to everything you say. Every complaint, every insult, every doubt, it records it. And over time, it starts to believe it. That's why it's so dangerous to joke about yourself in negative ways, even just for fun. Words create wiring. If you keep saying, I'm so unlucky, or I'm always tired, your brain will find ways to make that true. But when you start saying, I'm learning, I'm improving, I'm capable, your brain shifts gears. It starts to look for evidence to support those beliefs. That's how mindset becomes biology. Another thing to understand is that confidence doesn't come from always being right. It comes from refusing to stay wrong. When your inner voice starts attacking you, you need to challenge it. Ask, is that true? Do I have proof? Most of the time you don't. Most of the time those thoughts are just fear wearing a mask. And fear loves to sound like logic. It whispers, be careful, don't try, you'll fail. But when you question it, when you strip away the drama, you realize it's just noise, and you can choose silence over noise. One powerful exercise is to externalize your self-talk. Write down your recurring negative thoughts. See them on paper. Once you see them, they lose power. Then rewrite them with truth and strength. Turn, I'm not ready, into, I'm getting ready. Turn, I'm not enough, into, I'm growing every day. Your words become your weapons. And when you sharpen them with intention, they'll protect you instead of hurt you. And don't underestimate the power of gratitude in shaping your inner dialogue. Gratitude isn't about ignoring pain. It's about balancing your perception. When your mind starts spiraling into what's wrong, gratitude forces it to acknowledge what's right. It shifts your focus from lack to abundance, from weakness to possibility. And when you live from that state, your internal voice naturally becomes calmer, stronger, and more encouraging. You see, mastering your inner dialogue isn't a one-time fix. It's a lifelong discipline. There will always be moments when doubt tries to sneak back in. But every time you correct it, every time you speak truth to yourself instead of fear, you reinforce your mental armor. You become less reactive, more composed, and far more powerful. Eventually, you'll reach a point where your inner voice becomes your greatest ally. When challenges arise, instead of tearing you down, it will lift you up. It will remind you who you are and what you're capable of. That's when you know you've built something unbreakable, not just a mindset, but a foundation. Because at the end of the day, the most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. If you master that, no one, not critics, not failure, not fear, can take your peace. The world around you may be loud, but inside you'll be unshakably quiet, focused, and strong. And that's where real power begins. Not from what you show the world, but from what you whisper to yourself when no one's listening. Most people go through life hoping that things will be easy. They pray for comfort, stability, and predictability. But the truth is, the world doesn't work that way. Life doesn't ask for your permission before it hits you with loss, rejection, failure, or pain. It doesn't send a warning before it tests your patience, your courage, or your resolve. And when that moment comes, and it always comes, you'll either crumble or you'll rise. What determines which one you do isn't luck or even talent. It's preparation. It's whether you've trained your mind, your body, and your spirit to handle adversity before it arrives. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training. That's a truth that has carried soldiers, athletes, and leaders through the darkest moments imaginable. Under pressure, you don't become someone new. You reveal who you've been training to be all along. And if you've never trained, if you've never pushed yourself beyond your comfort zone, then when the storm hits, you'll break. Not because you're weak, but because you never built the strength to withstand it. So, here's the challenge: stop waiting for life to test you. Start testing yourself. Train for adversity before it finds you. You have to build your mental armor when things are calm, because when chaos hits, it's too late to start. You need to learn how to stay steady before the world shakes you. Training for adversity means intentionally putting yourself in situations that stretch you. It's about building controlled discomfort into your daily life, because the only way to grow resilience is through resistance. Just like muscles, your mind and emotions need tension to grow stronger. The gym doesn't get easier because the weights get lighter. It gets easier because you get stronger. The same goes for life. Start small. Maybe it's waking up an hour earlier than you want to. Maybe it's committing to a workout even when you don't feel like it. Maybe it's having the difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Each time you do something uncomfortable, you're sending a message to your brain: I can handle discomfort. That message compounds. Soon, discomfort stops being a threat and starts being your training ground. Adversity doesn't just build strength, it reveals truth. It shows you who you really are when the mask drops. When you're tired, frustrated, or scared, your true character steps forward. That's why controlled adversity is so important. You can't fake resilience when it's tested for real. You have to earn it. You have to earn it through discipline, repetition, and the willingness to do hard things every day. Physical training is one of the best ways to simulate adversity. When you push your body, your mind follows. The workout isn't just about building muscle. It's about building grit. When your legs are burning, your lungs are screaming, and every part of you wants to quit, that's the moment that matters most. Because when you push through that wall, you're proving to yourself that you can endure more than you thought. And that belief doesn't stay in the gym, it carries into every part of your life. But physical training is only one piece of the puzzle. Emotional and mental training are just as vital. When someone criticizes you, when plans fall apart, when you face rejection, you're being handed an opportunity to train your emotional control. Don't run from it. Face it. Sit with the discomfort. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this instead of going around it? Every time you respond instead of react, you're getting stronger. We live in a world that avoids pain at all costs. We have endless ways to distract, to numb, to escape. But here's the truth: the more you avoid discomfort, the weaker you become. The less you face, the smaller your capacity grows. You don't build confidence by hiding from challenge, you build it by surviving challenge. By getting through something hard and realizing, I didn't think I could handle that, but I did. That's where self-respect is born. When you train for adversity, you change your relationship with failure. You stop seeing it as something to fear and start seeing it as feedback. Every failure becomes data, not defeat. It tells you where to adjust, what to improve, what to try next. Failure stops being a wall and starts being a mirror that reflects not your weakness, but your potential. There's also a deeper kind of training the heart. Adversity often shows up in the form of people. Someone wrongs you, betrays you, disappoints you, and your instinct is to get angry, to close off, to seek revenge. But strength isn't about fighting back, it's about mastering yourself. Forgiveness, empathy, restraint. These are advanced forms of training. They demand more discipline than any workout. They teach you to rise above pettiness and stay focused on what truly matters. If you want to develop an unbreakable positive attitude, you have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to stop seeing struggle as something to survive and start seeing it as something to seek. The people who thrive in life don't wait for adversity. They build it into their lives. They put themselves through controlled chaos so that when real chaos arrives, they're already fluent in calm. One powerful exercise is voluntary hardship. Choose something difficult to do regularly. Fast for a day, take cold showers, hike long distances, wake up before dawn to work on your goals. These small, deliberate acts of discomfort rewire your brain. They teach it that pain is temporary and control is possible. When you stop running from discomfort, you discover freedom on the other side. Remember, adversity doesn't make you stronger by itself. It's your response to adversity that does. Some people go through hardship and come out bitter, broken, resentful. Others go through the same hardship and come out wiser, sharper, more grateful. The difference isn't the pain, it's the mindset. If you train your mind to extract lessons instead of losses, you'll never truly fail. So don't wait for the storm to hit before you start building your shelter. Don't wait for the breakup, the job loss, the rejection, the failure. Prepare now. Build your resilience daily. Challenge yourself in small ways so you're ready for the big ones. Because life will test you whether you're ready or not. And the only thing worse than the test is realizing you never trained for it. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, every time you do the hard thing instead of the easy one, you're building an invisible shield. You might not see it right away, but one day, when life throws something massive your way, you'll stand there calm while others panic. You'll take a breath, adjust, and move forward, and people will wonder how you stayed so composed. The answer will be simple. You trained for this. That's the essence of an unbreakable mindset. It's not about avoiding struggle. It's about transforming it into strength. It's about knowing that no matter what life throws at you, you've already faced yourself. You've already done the work. And when you've met your own limits and pushed past them, there's nothing the world can do to stop you. When you live like that, adversity loses its power over you, because you stop fearing what might happen and start trusting who you'll be when it does. That's when you become unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because you get unbreakable. Your mind is a fortress. Everything you allow inside, every word, every person, every image, every conversation, either strengthens that fortress or weakens it. Most people don't realize how much their environment influences their attitude. They think mindset is built through motivation alone, but the truth is, mindset is built through management. You can't expect to have a strong, unbreakable positive attitude if you're constantly surrounded by negativity, distraction, and noise. You can't protect your peace if you keep giving people permission to disturb it. The environment you live in, both physically and mentally, sets the tone for your life. If your surroundings are chaotic, your thoughts will be too. If you spend your time with people who complain, criticize, and gossip, you'll eventually absorb that energy. Negativity is contagious, but so is strength, and you have to decide which one you'll catch. The people you spend time with are not neutral. They are either pulling you forward or holding you back. They're either reinforcing your vision or slowly eroding it. You can't build an unbreakable mind in a toxic environment. You can't build resilience while being surrounded by people who don't believe in growth. You can't develop discipline if you're surrounded by comfort seekers. The reality is, your circle is a mirror of your standards. If you want to grow, you need to elevate your environment. That doesn't mean you cut people off without compassion. It means you set boundaries with intention. Protecting your mental fortress isn't about isolation, it's about curation. It's about choosing what and who gets access to your energy. Take a hard look at your surroundings. Your room, your workspace, your social media feed, these are all extensions of your environment. Are they fueling your focus or draining your attention? Do they inspire you or distract you? If your environment doesn't match the mindset you're trying to build, you're fighting an uphill battle every day. You can't expect clarity if your space is cluttered. You can't expect peace if your world is loud. You have to design your environment to match your goals. Start small. Clean your space. Organize it so it reflects the discipline you want to embody. A clean environment tells your brain you're in control. It signals order, focus, and readiness. Then, go deeper. Clean your digital environment. The accounts you follow, the content you consume, the conversations you engage in. These things shape your thoughts more than you realize. If you scroll through negativity, outrage, or meaningless content all day, don't be surprised when your mood feels heavy. What you consume becomes what you think, and what you think becomes what you feel. Guarding your mental fortress means becoming selective. You have to be ruthless about what you allow into your headspace. That doesn't mean living in denial or avoiding reality. It means choosing what deserves your focus. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every argument deserves your energy. Not every opportunity deserves your whys. Learning to say no is one of the highest forms of self-respect. It's not rejection, it's protection. And let's talk about people. Some people feed your energy, others feed on it. The ones who feed it will challenge you, support you, and hold you accountable. They won't let you play small or make excuses. The ones who feed on it will drain you with drama, pessimism, and victimhood. They will pull you into their chaos because they're uncomfortable with your calm. You can care about people without carrying their weight. Compassion doesn't mean self-sacrifice. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back and let people face their own storms. When you start protecting your peace, you'll notice who gets uncomfortable. The people who benefited from your lack of boundaries will accuse you of being selfish. Let them, because protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's essential. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't lead from exhaustion. Your peace is your power, and if you lose it, everything else begins to crumble. There's another layer to your environment, your inner one. The thoughts you allow to circulate in your mind, the beliefs you entertain, the emotions you feed, these form your internal climate. You can live in a mansion and still have a miserable environment if your mind is cluttered with worry, resentment, or comparison. Guarding your mental fortress means being aware of what you dwell on. Every time you replay old hurts or imagine worst-case scenarios, you're letting intruders inside your gates. You have to learn to filter your thoughts. Not every thought deserves a response. Not every emotion deserves a stage. When a negative thought enters, acknowledge it, but don't serve it tea. Let it pass. Replace it with something productive. For every complaint, find a solution. For every fear, find an action. That's how you keep your inner space strong and focused. Another part of guarding your environment is aligning it with your values. If you say you want to grow, but your environment rewards comfort and distraction, you're living in contradiction. If you want to be disciplined, surround yourself with people who hold high standards. If you want peace, spend time in places that cultivate it. Your environment should reflect your goals, not sabotage them. It's also important to have sacred spaces, places where you can disconnect from the noise and reconnect with yourself. It might be your morning routine, a walk outside, your workout, or even just a quiet moment before bed. These spaces act as checkpoints, moments where you recharge your mental batteries and reinforce your focus. Without them, you'll get swept up in the chaos of the world, reacting to everything and mastering nothing. When you start protecting your environment, you'll notice your energy shift. You'll think clearer, feel lighter, and move with more intention. You'll start attracting people and opportunities that match your new standard. Because energy recognizes energy. When you operate from strength, you draw strength. When you protect your space, you make room for growth. But don't expect it to be easy. The moment you raise your standards, your environment will test you. People will challenge your boundaries. The world will tempt you with comfort. Negativity will try to sneak in disguised as honesty or realism. That's when you have to stand guard. You can't control every external influence, but you can control how long it stays in your presence. Imagine your mind as a castle. You are the gatekeeper. You decide who enters and who doesn't. Some guests bring wisdom, inspiration, and support. Let them in. Others bring gossip, distraction, and fear. Keep them out. The stronger your gatekeeping, the more peaceful your inner world becomes. Protecting your environment isn't about living in a bubble. It's about living with awareness. It's about knowing that your energy is precious, your attention is currency, and your peace is non-negotiable. You can't be unbreakable if you're constantly letting others chip away at your foundation. You have to defend your mindset like it's sacred, because it is. And when you do that, when you clean your space, elevate your circle, and master your boundaries, you'll notice something powerful. The world outside might still be chaotic, but inside, you'll be unshakable. You'll move through life with calm confidence, knowing that no matter what happens out there, your fortress within stands firm. Because you built it, you guarded it, and nothing, no person, no event, no circumstance can tear it down. Leadership isn't a title. It's not a position or a corner office or the number of followers you have. Leadership is influence, and influence begins with self-mastery. Before you can lead anyone, your team, your family, your friends, you have to learn to lead yourself. Because how you handle your own mind, your own emotions, and your own standards will determine how others respond to you. You can't guide others to a place you've never been. You can't inspire confidence in people if you don't embody it. Real leadership starts in the mirror. Leading yourself means holding yourself accountable when no one's watching. It means doing what needs to be done even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient. Most people want to lead others, but they haven't yet learned to lead their impulses, their habits, their reactions. They want authority without accountability. But leadership without discipline is chaos. You can't expect to influence others if your own life is out of alignment. People don't follow what you say. They follow what you are. Every morning when you wake up, you're setting an example. Even if no one sees it, you're training your mind either to follow your goals or to follow your excuses. Leading yourself starts with consistency. It's the quiet discipline of showing up every single day, not for applause or validation, but because you said you would. When you start keeping promises to yourself, something shifts inside you. You stop needing external motivation. You start leading from integrity, and that kind of leadership radiates. It's easy to give advice. It's hard to live it. It's easy to tell others to stay calm under pressure, to be confident, to persevere. But the real test is whether you can do it when the pressure's on you. When things fall apart, when people disappoint you, when your plans crumble, do you still lead yourself with composure, or do you let chaos take over? Self-leadership is forged in those exact moments. The moments when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when you have every reason to quit. That's when true leaders are made. You see, people are always observing, consciously or not. They might not say it, but they're watching how you carry yourself, how you handle stress, how you treat people who can't give you anything in return. Leadership isn't about commanding others. It's about inspiring them by your example. You don't have to tell people to follow you. If your actions are aligned with your words, they'll do it naturally. Because authenticity is magnetic. When people sense that you lead yourself with discipline, humility, and purpose, they trust you. Self-leadership also means emotional control. A leader who can't control their emotions will eventually lose control of everything else. You have to be able to stay grounded in the middle of the storm. That doesn't mean suppressing emotions, it means mastering them. When something upsets you, you pause, you assess, you respond with clarity instead of reacting with chaos. The more you train yourself to stay composed, the more power you have in any situation. Because in moments of panic, calm becomes leadership. But leadership isn't just about strength, it's also about service. Leading yourself first isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming reliable. When you can trust yourself, others can trust you. When you take responsibility for your actions, others feel safe following your lead. That's what great leaders do. They create stability in unstable environments. And that stability starts with how you lead yourself every day. The mistake most people make is thinking leadership starts with authority. It doesn't. Authority is assigned. Leadership is earned. You can have a title and still have no influence. You can have no title and still be the most respected person in the room. The difference lies in ownership. Do you own your attitude? Do you own your mistakes? Do you own your growth? Because people don't follow perfection. They follow authenticity. When you lead yourself, you develop a standard, a personal code of conduct. It's the set of principles you refuse to compromise on, no matter the situation. Integrity, respect, consistency, discipline, compassion, those become non-negotiables. And every time life tests those values and you choose to uphold them anyway, you're reinforcing that code. That's the kind of strength others can feel. Leading yourself first also means knowing when to rest, when to recharge, and when to step back. Burnout doesn't make you a hero, it makes you a liability. If you're drained, resentful, or emotionally unstable, you can't lead anyone effectively. Self-leadership requires awareness. It's knowing when to push and when to pause. It's taking care of your body and your mind, because they're the tools that carry your mission. Think about every great leader you admire. What do they all have in common? They hold themselves to higher standards. They take responsibility. They stay calm under pressure. They communicate clearly. They keep going when others stop. Those traits don't come from a manual. They come from daily self-leadership. You don't suddenly become that person when you get promoted or when people start watching. You become that person long before the spotlight ever hits you. Another aspect of leading yourself first is humility. Real leaders are learners. They don't think they know everything. They stay curious. They seek feedback. They admit when they're wrong. That humility keeps them adaptable and grounded. When you're leading yourself, you have to check your ego regularly. The moment you think you've arrived, you start declining. Growth never stops. Leadership is a lifelong practice of self-improvement. And leadership at its core is service. You lead not to dominate, but to elevate. The stronger you become, the more you can lift others. But if you haven't first built your own foundation, your mindset, your discipline, your peace, then you'll collapse under the weight of others' expectations. That's why self-leadership is the foundation of all influence. You can't pour wisdom, patience, or confidence into others if your own cup is empty. There's a quiet power in someone who leads themselves well. They don't need to announce it. They don't need to demand respect. Their presence commands it. Because when you're consistent, calm, and committed, people notice. They see your focus. They feel your integrity. And they want to rise to that level too. That's real leadership, not through force, but through example. So ask yourself, how are you leading yourself right now? Are you honoring your word? Are you managing your emotions? Are you showing up with intention? Or are you letting circumstances dictate your behavior? Because the truth is, you're already leading. You're just either leading yourself toward growth or toward mediocrity. Every decision, every habit, every thought is steering your life somewhere. The question is, are you steering consciously or are you drifting? Leading yourself first means being brutally honest with yourself. It's looking at your life and saying, where am I holding back? Where am I making excuses? Where am I not living up to my own standards? That kind of self-honesty isn't easy, but it's the birthplace of transformation. Once you see where you've been avoiding responsibility, you can take it back. You can reset your direction. And when you do, when you start leading yourself with clarity, purpose, and discipline, you become the kind of person others naturally look to in times of uncertainty. Because leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about being the one who stays grounded while finding them. It's about being the calm in the chaos, the light in the confusion, the steady hand when others are shaking. When you lead yourself first, you don't just change your own life. You change the energy around you. You become a walking example of strength, balance, and purpose. And that kind of leadership doesn't fade. It inspires, it empowers, it lasts. Because the world doesn't need more people chasing titles. It needs more people who lead from within. And that starts with you. Lead yourself first, then watch how everything else falls into alignment. When you master that, you won't need to chase influence. You'll become it. Every single one of us will face moments that test who we are, moments that strip away comfort, certainty, and control. In those moments, it won't matter how much money you have, how popular you are, or how much motivation you've memorized. What will matter is what's left inside you when everything else is gone. That's where the unbreakable positive attitude lives. Not on your best days, but in the fire of your worst ones. Life will throw punches. It will challenge your faith, your patience, your purpose. And in those times, you have two choices: surrender to the chaos or rise above it. You rise by reframing how you see the world, not as something happening to you, but something happening for you. You rise by mastering that inner dialogue, turning doubt into direction, fear into focus. You rise by training for adversity before it arrives, by strengthening your body, your will, and your emotional endurance. You rise by protecting your environment, guarding your energy like it's sacred, and by surrounding yourself with people and habits that elevate, not drain you. And you rise by leading yourself first, holding yourself accountable to the highest standard, and becoming the kind of person others can look to when they've lost their way. That's what it means to have an unbreakable, positive mental attitude. It's not pretending to be okay, it's being powerful enough to get through when you're not. It's not smiling through the storm, it's becoming the calm within it. The world doesn't need more noise, more complaints, more victims of circumstance. It needs strength. It needs composure. It needs people who can walk into chaos and still choose clarity, compassion, and courage. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this. Your attitude is your armor. The way you think, speak, and respond is your greatest weapon in a world you can't always control. Protect it, sharpen it, lev it, because once you build that mindset, once you decide that nothing can break your focus, your discipline, or your belief in yourself, you become unstoppable. There will be days when it feels like you're standing alone, days when progress feels invisible. But remember, this strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to keep going when no one's clapping. Sometimes it's the whisper, "I've got this," when no one else believes you do. Every time you choose perseverance over panic, calm over chaos, growth over comfort, you win. And one day, when life throws something at you that would have destroyed the old version of you, you'll smile. Not because it's easy, but because you'll realize that everything you've been